Hello everybody, and welcome to this exercise in which we're going to create this kind of funny and interesting looking abstract rendering of the red Panton chair on a white matte backdrop. We will start this exercise by exporting a polygon model of the Panton chair, which we created in Fusion to scale. So we can then take this model and import it into Blender. Then we will create a small environment with a backdrop, camera, lights, add a material also to our chair, as you can see here, frame everything, and then render out a nice image from the camera and the scene we created. Okay, with all that said, let's do it. First thing we would like to do is export this chair as a polygon model. So I go to bodies, body 5 here, right click, save as mesh. Then you see the object is selected. I will use OBJ as the format. Unit system meters. This will make it very easy because Blender works with meters, and then I can import the OBJ simply and it will be one-to-one scale wise. I can then still later in Blender change the work unit system. Then we have preview mesh. And you see we have high and low and medium. This is basically defining how fine the polygon model is. It doesn't really matter much in this case. It's a very organic shape and we get pretty good results. If I go too low, now we don't really see much. When I zoom in, there you can see this is more faceted, coarser. With high, this is super fine. So it's a matter of preference. In general, with high, more polygons, the models get bigger. With low, less polygons, the model file size get lower. And if I show something really far, I can go with maybe a low version. If I zoom in and I see certain details, maybe then I want to go with a high refinement or so. Anyway, let's click OK. Let's go to the desktop. I type in red chair, save, export it. Thank you. There we are. Now here's my red chair. Very nice. Cool. There's a material file. This I can actually discard. Bye-bye. Then let's go to Blender. Very good. So I mentioned now when we import, we want this to be in meters. Go File, Import Wavefront. I go to Desktop. Here is my file. Then look forward and look up is Z and forward is Y. It's kind of like the same way how also Fusion SketchUp is. Nice trick. We go to Geometry, turn Split by Group in. Currently we only import one object, but when we do this, then actually multiple objects will be imported into Blender as individual bodies. Okay, let's click Import. Takes a moment, and there is the file, the chair. So click, shift click, X and delete. There it is. Very nice. Press N. So the whole object is Z 80 centimeters. We created this in imperial with inches. There we are, 31 inches along the Z-axis. If we go back actually, just to verify, just for giggles, to Fusion, we can see here there's the scale, yeah, plus minus 31 inches. Okay, so the model came over to scale. Very nice. Okay, perfect. So let's quickly set up our environment. I will bring this up. I will turn this into the shader editor because I work in this quite a lot. Then this awkward thing here. Then right click, split vertical. We turn this into our camera. I press T and N to just hide all the stuff. And here is just now my modeling workspace. For the moment, we can make this a little bit smaller. Shift middle mouse button there. Let's add a plane. Add plane. It's going to edit mode. Press S to scale this up nicely. How much doesn't really matter. There we are. Go to edge select. Select the edge. E for extrude. Z. And we'll bring this up maybe to 80 inches. So we are in inches. I simply type in 80 and there we are. You see now this is Z80. By the way, I need to know how long something is. I can turn on edge length. And there it is actually 95 inches. So I press A and to select everything, S and X. I can scale this till, yeah, this is 100 inches now. There you see, easy. Now this plane I would like to move backwards. I can press G for move and Y for the Y axis, or press escape. I can also use the move command. Bring this over. This maybe should have been moved by 25 inches. There you see. Easy. Cool. Okay. Object mode. I would like this corner to be filleted. I could model this by hand, but then it's modeled. I can also give this a modifier. So you see, I go to the modifier, add modifier, click bevel. Then I say 2 feet, so 12 inches. 24 inches. Wah, wah. Segments. Maybe 12 segments. And you see the more segments, they make it nicer. So 10 kind of like is fine. And then I go to profile and adjust the profile a little bit. So it looks like paper that kind of like hangs down. Right click, shade smooth. Oh, look at that. Nice and shiny. Right click, shade flat. I have the facets back. If I go to wireframe mode, I can see now where these edges are. There we are. Cool. Okay, let's add a camera. Add camera. And actually now here we can click on camera. So now we see through the camera. The camera, I move to here and move up. Yeah, where does the camera look to? Not where it should be. So under rotation with N, I can show this. 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, enter. Okay, move this up along the x-axis. Yeah, I have to rotate this. Oh, there's my chair. Really nice. I would like to change the camera lens. Let's make this a 70. So more like a tele lens. Very easy. Clicking on the red rectangle, I can move this along the y-axis and the z-axis. There. Okay. Now I can see the backdrop is too short. So I can go to the backdrop, edit ASX, and scale this a little bit bigger. Now this has this like 138 inches. That's fine. Cool. Okay. Very nice. Here now I can turn these things off, so I really only see the camera. Maybe select the camera. Then we have under viewport display passepartout. I can clip the rest really out. Maybe 0.95. So I just see a little bit what's happening in the background. Before now we do materials, we need also some lights. So add light area and move this one up. With the mouse wheel, I can scroll this interface. And now I will go to render settings, set this to cycles. Some quick tips. We want fast renderings for the preview. So samples 10, denoise 10. This is now like what is going on. I will explain this in a moment. Hold your horses. And 100 for final rendering. Now here, I can turn on the render mode. And look at that. You see, material preview rendering. If I move this up and down, something is happening. So the light is actually really small. It's a foot by foot. So maybe we make this 24. Now this is like a 2 foot or 36. 3 foot, 3 foot. If I select the chair, I can then go ahead and say, well, this should be a nice red chair, and it should be not rough, not reflective, not kind of dull, very reflective. Realistic is something like 0.5 for plastic. If I zoom in here a little bit with the mouse wheel, we can see this is super sharp. Well, it's not correct. 0.1. Let's make this slightly blurry. Cool, very nice. Let's have some fun with this design. I will say Shift D and X, make a copy. Move Shift D, and then when you make a copy, you're instantly in move mode. And I pressed X, so it goes to the side. Double click, share. Double click, share, copy. And you see how we can name the objects. And this one I will make a little bit smaller. Now there we are. Let's go to the side view, R, 90 and minus, so rotate 90 degrees. Oh, that's actually an interesting artifact. What's going on there, how this comes through. I'm just going to put this one maybe to here. Let me see how we can play with this. Or if this should be not rotated, I can just simply press 000 for the rotation. Move this around. Should be on the ground. Okay, ground 0. You see how this snapped back. Easy. Maybe this one we will rotate a little bit. View maybe the opposite way. Oh, look, they're kind of like in a dialogue. Pretty cool, no? Maybe both objects with Shift I select, move them over. Shift middle mouse button, pan around for the camera. So I'm inside the camera. Very good. I can maybe select this. Shift D, make a copy and see, well, what happens if we do something kind of like funny in the background. I'm just only goofing around a little bit just to show you how we can be creative and how the rendering engine actually works. Oh, that's actually quite interesting now what's going on there. Very good. Yeah. So let's center this maybe a little bit more. For the photography nerds, we can go to viewport display, compositional guides. Here are our thirds, for example. Well, we don't see those here right now because I had this turned off, but there are now the thirds. Center, ratio, and whatever. No? For those who know a little bit about photography. So we have the tools there. Very good. Okay, so one light is not really enough. When we have the light from the top, I go to a front view. Shift D, move the light to the side, and then R and 90 minus and enter. Or I can also simply set everything up here. So this is good. Very nice. Go to the front view again. Shift D, go to here, R, and 180 to the other side. Bring this to there. Go to the top view and then go to here and rotate the light a little bit. So with multiple lights now, what I can do is, well, what happens if I make this 50? Oh, this is really nice what's going on here, no? Maybe 500. Actually also not bad, but when I go with 50,000, it's like a supernova, no? So we have to be careful with the value, what we type in there. I will go with 100. That seems actually to be nice. And maybe here, this is my top image, sorry, top light. With H, I can hide it. I can select this light and press H and hide it. Oh, this is actually quite nice. Now you see how a lot of the light is coming from the left side, illuminating the um, the ground plane, and then creates this illusion. Also here, because I pressed H, these lights were hidden. I can turn this back on. Actually, I can also do it this way. Might be good to show here. We can turn on also the visibility for the viewport. So here you see this is the viewport, shows up in the rendering or not in the viewport, and then this is for the final rendering. Can be a little bit confusing at the beginning. So maybe here, this one I just simply turn off. So you know, show, hide, on. Very good. So these two can go back. We can call this scene, for example, right click on the collection, new collection. Maybe I call this lights, just simply to show you how we can select objects and then drag them into collections. I can turn the collection completely off. Oh, look at that. There's a little bit of light. Where's that coming from? Going to the world. Here we have a color. White, light, 0, no light. And let's turn the light back on. Okay, very nice. Then it's basically a matter of fine-tuning everything. Is the plastic really good? Maybe this is a little bit too glossy. 0.4. Look at this. That's nice and blurry. When I zoom in, this is very soft. Let's do one last interesting detail. I will, for the moment, set this roughness to 0. Then I go to Add, Texture, and Noise. So this color I put into the base color. Then I zoom out. Wow, what's going on? Well, we have this funky, cloudy thing going on there. Type in 50. You see there's there's something happening. There's a finer grid now. 100, 200. Yeah, maybe for the moment, let's go with maybe 300. Okay, so what's the whole idea here? So this is what's called a procedural texture, a noise one. Just scale, and then other things we can adjust. I put this into the base color. Now I'm taking this out, and I would like this to adjust the surface normal, the orientation, to create this illusion of, there's actually a structure to the surface. Because currently, as you can see, it is very smooth. So polished. So go to Add, then Bump, and then we feed maybe the color or the factor into the height. That's for valley and hills. So the vertical orientation. And then we say this result should adjust the normal. Oh, look at that. We have actually like a bump mapping going on. I also have actually a very strong denoising going on. So at this point, maybe it might be good to say samples 30. In my case, 30. Takes a little bit longer. But then you start noticing that more areas are there and not being blurred out. Okay. Distance, we can maybe adjust 0.1. You see it's very still quite strong, 0.01. And now actually this effect will get much, much milder, 0.0001. Oh, look at that. Now you can really see there's something happening on the plastic. Now it's a little bit of a shimmer. Go to a car. Take a look at the car paint. To see if it's really perfectly smooth, because it's not. Very good. So this is, for example, how we can simulate a little bit of a structure on the surface, and then I'm bringing the blurriness back. Oh, look at this. This is how quickly we can rebuild, kind of like a realistic plastic. So now to bring this to an end, we would also like to create a rendering of this abstract work. I stop rendering here. And before we do rendering, let's save. Rent a chair. There we are on the desktop. We go to the output, by the way. So that's actually interesting to show. Here's the camera. And I turn this back on. So you can also see the camera frame. And this is 1920 by 1080, 1080p. And these are all the video formats. So for animation, this is the format what you want to use for a TV or YouTube videos. If we want this to render as a square, I can set this to 1000 by 1000 pixels. Why 1000 by 1000? Well, I just made it up. I could also simply say 500 by 500. And you see it actually adjusts then the format for you. So based on, let's say, when we create a rendering for a presentation or so, we can calculate for a 3 by 3 inch, how many pixels do I need? And then I punch this in here. Can also click and drag and kind of like frame this a little bit. There. I would like to move the camera a little bit closer. So local, you see how this orientation changes? No, I'm sliding the camera along its orientation. It's global and local for you. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Very nice. Maybe one last quick look. When I select the ground paper, I can also make a material, say this is very white. How would this look with black? With black and reflective, it's kind of abstract. I don't know, maybe here this top light is a little bit in my way. So when I turn this one off, oh, look at this. That's actually kind of interesting now, because this is a reflective surface. When I zoom in more, there you can see what's going on. Can do a nice roughness, but now where the other light is, it starts coming in there. I'm just only kind of like goofing around a little bit just to show you what we can do here. And there should just be a simple paper. So specular and roughness is off, just matte, all good. Very nice. So we have kind of like our camera set up. These are the pixels. Maybe I'm just doing this a little bit clean. 600 by 500, 700 there. Okay. We have here 25%. If I type this in, you see nothing happening. And that is because if I now hit render, there's 25% of this amount of resolution. If I type in 100 and hit render, there's that image now with 100%. 100 samples, it's doing the rendering of these 100 samples here. So this is final rendering. This is for the viewport. Let's view render. There we are. The smaller the image, the faster it renders. The bigger the image, the longer it takes, and the more details we can also see. So I go to slot 2, output 200, click render, and I go to view 1:1. And there we can see there's a little bit more of the bump mapping we can now see. This is significantly slower now. I'm also recording at the same time. And it's nearly done. Just one more second. And yeah, now it's done. Very good. Slot 1, slot 2. There we are. Cool. So these images now we can save as desktop. I wouldn't really save as JPEG. I would just go with PNG, RGBA. So when we have a transparent background with A, the background is also empty. You can call this red chair. Desktop, close this, close this. Now, there's our image. See? Easy peasy. So that's actually now how quickly we can export the red chair and then do an initial abstract rendering or composition with this chair in a custom made environment. And that's it.